Hello, my name is Noah Elkrief, and in this video, I would really like to clear up some of the confusion that may come between, there was a fly on my face, my old videos and my new videos. So I haven't yet really shared new videos, new content videos, but my first video, which was a sharing about my story, seems to have triggered a few of you and confused a few of you, and I really understand that, and I really want to honor that confusion and clear up anything that I can that might get in the way of you getting benefit from my old videos or my new videos, and may even spark anger or hopelessness or anything else. So in the past, my videos were all talking about the mind, about thoughts. And there's basically no thought that is true from my perspective, from my vantage point. And at the time that I made the videos, my perspective was that every emotion is created by a thought. That there is no such thing as an emotion that is not created by a thought. And that the only way, or if you were to disbelieve the thoughts in your mind, that would always end up in the emotion completely dissolving. And what I discovered is that I'm wrong. I was wrong. It turns out that not all emotions are created by thoughts that are happening now. Not all emotions are created by thoughts. And I am sorry that I stated that previously as if it was a fact. It seems that when I speak, I often view my perspective as a fact. That the way I see it, because I see it so clearly, it seems that that's the only possible truth. But I'm really only ever speaking from my frame of reference. I don't know what I don't know. So, if you're experiencing an emotion that you don't like and you don't want to feel it, one way to deal with that, one way to help the emotion to lose its power or dissolve or go away, is to look to see what thoughts are going on in your mind and to discover that they're not true. That's what I shared in the past, and that is still absolutely valid. The only thing that I am now adding, because I've seen something else, is other ways to deal with emotions that the old way wasn't sufficient to handle. Emotions don't just come from thoughts. What I've seen in my own experience is that there are many sources of emotions, and maybe I'll share a few with you now. When we believe a thought, it creates an emotion, let's say. Maybe I'll give an example of a breakup. I like to use that example because it seems pretty universal. If you're broken up with and you believe the thought, if they don't like me, it means there's something wrong with me, you will immediately feel maybe hurt. The feeling of hurt or shame or inadequacy, insufficiency. Now, if you disbelieve that thought, and you recognize just because they don't like me, it doesn't mean I'm not good enough, then that thought will stop creating the emotion of hurt. However, if you already created a whole bunch of hurt and you didn't express it, but you pushed it down, then when you stop believing the thought, it might not create any more hurt, but you've done nothing to let go of the hurt already in your body. I'll say that slightly differently now. If you take an empty glass of water, or just an empty glass, and you put it under a faucet in the sink, and you turn the water on, you're adding water to the glass. If you turn off the faucet, you're no longer adding water to the glass, but turning off the faucet does nothing to get rid of the water already in the glass. So to relate those two things, when we're believing a thought, it's creating emotion, it's creating energy in our body. When we stop believing the thought, it stops creating that energy. But if we already push down a whole bunch of that energy, then we may need to let go of that energy in some other way. We might need to let go of that hurt, let go of that shame, let go of that fear, whatever it is. And throughout the course of our childhoods, for practically all of us, if not all of us, there are many moments when we felt emotions that were too much for us to express. We generally very easily cry as babies, very easily express our emotion when we feel sad or hurt or scared or whatever else we feel in our early childhood, in the first few years of our life. It's naturally easy to just express our emotions, but it doesn't usually stay that way. And the reason why, there are many reasons, but I'll just say a couple of things, is sometimes the emotions are too intense for our bodies to express. So we end up pushing it down and keeping it in our system. Maybe that's fight or flight, fear or anger. Maybe that's a freeze response of hopelessness or despair. Maybe that's shame and inadequacy. And then also over time, what we notice unconsciously is that maybe when we cry, maybe when we're afraid, maybe when we're sad, our parents withhold their love unconsciously. So they may, when they're coming to help us when we're crying, they might feel like they're a failure. They might feel afraid for us. They might get frustrated because they don't want to be dealing with us. So they're unconsciously influencing us that it's not okay to cry, that it's not safe to cry, because if they withhold their love, we can feel like they don't want it. And the scariest, the most unsafe thing for us as children is to lose our parents. We lose our parents, we lose our safety. And so this is all unconsciously influencing us to not feel, to not express our emotions, to push our emotions down. And so the vast majority of us are holding so many buried emotions from our childhood. And that's the journey I was on the last 5 years, is about uncovering and releasing these emotions so that I can live my life more fully from here and now. And I didn't have to disbelieve many thoughts. Sometimes when these emotions come up and out, maybe I take a step back and just feel what's happening here. Disbelieving thoughts is very valuable. Disbelieving thoughts is very valuable, and it's sometimes not enough. Sometimes we have to let go of emotions that are contained within the body. Previously, I only knew about the head. I lived from the head. I lived from stillness and peace of head, mind. And that's beautiful. That was really a step up from how I lived before. And And maybe for you, that's all you want and all you ever wished for. And I'm fully in support of that. And it might be that my new content will help you have more peace in your head. And it might be that you want to look somewhere else for someone who only talks from their head, only talks from logic and head seeing. But now I'm relating to emotions and my experience of life from other places other than my head. I relate to it from my heart, from my solar plexus, from my stomach, from my balls, and from my soul, amongst other places. And from each location that I operate from, it has a different vantage point of viewing my emotional or physical experience. And each place within myself contains different way of being. You'll notice from myself before versus now, before I was maybe more calm, in stillness, in peace. Whereas now you might notice I have a lot more life in me. There's a lot more expression. There's a lot more fluctuation. There's a lot more movement happening because the body has more movement. When people are in their head, it's very still. Maybe it's analytical, maybe it's logical, maybe it's very relaxed. Whereas my heart gets to have love and feeling touch and connection. My stomach has a lot of force. My balls contain the sexuality and the pleasure. And there's so much more. And I'm really, my journey is the full experience of life, everything. I already did the head. I have that peace of mind never left. I have it. I just choose not to stay there. That world is still completely peaceful, but the rest of my body is not. I want every aspect of my system to be completely at ease and light and peaceful and able to operate without blocks or interference. And I'm getting there. It's happening in its own perfection of timing. Yeah. So I don't want to go too deep into how to release emotions from our childhood and the difference between releasing emotions and disbelieving thoughts. I don't want to go too deep in that because I will make a content video, many content videos about different ways to deal with emotions. I think this one is mostly just about understanding that my old videos are still valid for the level of the mind, but maybe they're insufficient for emotions that are stuck in your body. I think maybe it's also important because I read all the comments and I want to do my best to address the confusions and misinterpretations and also the very valid concerns and disagreements. So another thing is I heard, what did people say? I talked about unworthiness, and previously in the past I said unworthiness is just a thought. Right? So if my mind is empty and still and I don't believe my thoughts, how could I have unworthiness? Well, what I've discovered within myself is that I hold unworthiness within my body, that there are energetic bubbles or balls or pieces within myself that hold I'm worthless, right? So maybe if a teacher gave me maybe I submitted an assignment to a teacher and she told me it's really bad. Maybe I believed it, buried that in my body, and now if I get triggered, like maybe I ask someone for feedback on a video and they tell me, right? Maybe that triggers that feeling of unworthiness within my body, and that feeling within my body contains the belief that was there at the time that the unworthiness was formed. So that belief isn't located in my head. That belief is actually located as part of the energy that's held within my body. So each form of unworthiness that's present in me, as well as fear or loneliness or whatever other emotion that's present or that shows up, that gets activated, that gets triggered, those are all in my body. My mind is just clear. I don't have anything there that I'm aware of. Yeah, so I think that clears up another thing that you guys asked for. And I understand if that's out of your frame of reference, that like, how could a belief be in the body? How could a body part contain an emotion that contains a belief? And that's completely cool if if you're not on board with where I'm coming from. If that's out of your frame of reference, you have two options, or maybe three. Believe me, which I don't really recommend. Option two is say that I'm stupid and I've gone off the deep end, which is a belief within itself. Or three is stay open. So maybe I'm talking bullshit, and maybe I'm talking something that's really very true, and you don't know, and you would just explore within yourself in your own life and see if maybe that discovery happens within your own experience. And if it does, then it validates what I'm saying is true. And if it never happens, then maybe you hold on or come to the conclusion that I was confused. And that's okay too. What else did you guys ask for? Logic. So there were some comments that before I used to be so logical and now I'm not. Now I'm not speaking from logic. I understand that assumption. I could say a lot about logic, and maybe I'll make a whole video just about logic, but logic is one tool at the disposal of human beings for how to live life. But logic is very, very insufficient. I love logic. My mind works very sharp and structured. It's very clear, but logic is an insufficient tool. And if you run your life solely based on logic, it is a recipe for blandness, boredom, and programming, very simply. So if I were to ask you, for example, if you were to tell me you want to move from where you live now to some other place, and I would ask you, how would you come to that conclusion? Where is the best suited place for you to live? Well, if you were to use logic, you would do a lot of research. Where do people live the longest? Where it has the best quality of life? Where has the safest town? Where has the best school system? You would look at so many different things to try to assess where you would have the best experience in the future. The issue with that is none of that actually tells you what your experience will be. You could go to the place that has the lowest crime rate, which would be logical, and a crime could be committed against you. So logic is absolutely insufficient, and logic is based on trying to control what you do not control. I am letting go of logic within my own experience. More and more, my life is not led by logic. I am surrendering logic very, very consciously. Because the more I listen to my soul and my heart, the more beautiful my life becomes. The more powerful, safe I feel, the more beautiful my relationships are, the more things work out for me and for others. I understand if that is not part of your frame of reference and you don't understand this. But once again, you can choose to call me crazy because it's outside of your frame of reference, or you can stay open. And I assure you, there is something so unbelievably beautiful outside of logic, whether that's heart or soul or belly or anything else. Or it's just your own experience. Like maybe you have an experience that's unbelievably profound and amazing, but your mind can't catch on. Your mind is like, I don't understand it. So which are you going to trust? Your own experience or your mind's logic? And maybe many of you feel, I will trust my logic, and that's all good. And I used to. But the shift in power has come more to trusting my own experience and out of logic. And I'm deeply grateful for that. Yeah, that takes me to past lives. So there was a few comments about past lives. So I mentioned past lives. I wasn't planning to in my last video, but it just came out. I understand that there's some pushback on that. Some of you shared your experience with past lives or what you've read about it and are completely open, and there was no pushback at all. But some of you are like, how can you verify that, and you're going crazy and whatever else. And I really understand that. And in the beginning, when I was experiencing past lives, I thought I was crazy. I thought I was making it up. I thought it was a dream. I don't know, for weeks or maybe even months, I didn't believe myself. I assumed I'm making something up. Or maybe sometimes what happens when we do some regression, like when we look back, we can make up the story. So it's very, very common for people that, let's say I feel scared, and then I look back. It's very, very common for people to create a story. Like they might know one part, that my mom was there with me and I was in the bath when that fear started. And then our mind can create a whole story around it, that she must have done this and it must have done that. And it can seem very real, but it's not. We made up the story around it. So I'm very, very conscious of the difference between seeing what is true, what is real that happened, versus what is a story that's made up around a feeling. So the feeling could be real, but the story made up around it might not be. And that's very common for people. And I did that in the past, and I learned from it. And so with past lives, or with inner child regression, when you go back to the first few years of your life, we have to be very, very cautious of what's true and what's made up. And I learned from my mistakes a lot. I assumed things, and then I was wrong, and I got reflections from other people and other people that worked with me in different moments. Like, I've gotten help here and there from many different type of experts in many different fields. In the last video, I said I'm doing this by myself. I'm winging it. And that's completely true, that my path is my path. I don't have a teacher, but at many different times, I've been to, I don't know, 30 different types of healers in the last few years, of some more traditional, like inner child work or body workers, and some very, very far out, like in shamanism. And coming back to past lives, it took a while for me to really trust my experience, that what I'm viewing, experience, seeing, and feeling is really valid, and not just some sort of dream or some image made up or coming from a movie. In the beginning, I'm like, this must be a movie that I think I'm in. So I completely honor and understand all of your pushback and questions about it. And I will just add that when I heard about past lives before it started happening to me, I heard about it in Hinduism or Buddhism, but I thought it was bullshit, or it didn't matter, or it's irrelevant because it has nothing to do with the present moment. When I was living just from my head, just from my mind, that's irrelevant. There's just thoughts that are happening now. I disbelieve them, they're gone, and I'm present. What need do I have with past lives and anything? But when my life became about embodying, living from the body and living from my soul, it turns out that I had to go to past lives sometimes in order to heal a block that was preventing me from living from my fullest authentic self. And so where I was going with that is that I didn't believe it before it happened to me. I didn't care before it happened to me. It wasn't relevant. I didn't believe it. It didn't matter. So for you now, I would encourage you to stay close to yourself. So I'm talking about past lives, and who cares? Maybe that's irrelevant for you. Maybe you don't believe it. Maybe it's all nonsense. That's fine. Trust your own experience. I would say, have this like cautious disbelief. Don't trust me. Don't believe me over your own experience, right? Your experience is that past lives are imaginary and not real. Perfect. And if you ever experience one within yourself, then maybe you'll have that same journey that I did in getting to a place where it feels real to me and it feels like it's my truth. But it's totally cool if you don't believe me or trust me. I would encourage you not to believe me or trust me. And that takes me to what feels like the final point. And that is, don't believe me or trust me. Like, really. And I want to be really clear with what I mean by that. Don't look to me for the answers. Don't look to me for the path. Don't look to me for what's true. You are the ultimate source of what's your truth. I feel I have to explain that better. Do I want to make a separate video for this? I'm going to talk about it briefly, and I'll make a separate video just for this subject also. But basically, we're raised looking outside of us for what's true. So our parents tell us this is a sponge, this is the sky, this is how this works. Then the teacher tells us, you know, this is how you add things up, this is how you write, this is whatever. So we are constantly being told from outside of ourselves, what is the truth, how should you do it, what is the way, you know, go to high school, go to college, then do this type of job. Like, the authority for our life is outside of ourselves. And then you come to people like me, self-help people, gurus, whatever, and thinking they know the truth now, not those, you know, stupid people in business, or not those people, you know, are my parents, they don't know anything, but this teacher and this self-help guy, they know the way. I don't know your way. I don't know what way is best for you. I don't know what method, what healing modality, how you should live your life. I don't know anything at all about what is the best and most beautiful and rewarding way for you to live your life. I don't know what is the best way for you to heal your emotional body in order to come to peace and freedom and joy and love. I don't know. So don't look to me to tell you what is the best way. Don't follow me. Don't trust me. So maybe I tell you 10 modalities to help you heal yourself. And maybe you only like one. And all the other 9 don't resonate with you. Perfect. Maybe you like all 10. But what I would really encourage you to do is don't take me as a whole. Like, do I follow Noah or not? Is he talking perfection or not? Is he speaking the truth or not? Forget about that whole old idea, that old framework of whether you should follow me or not. Don't follow me. I'll just say that flat out. Don't follow me. I am not speaking the truth. I am going to offer you many types of exercises, ideas, tactics, explanations for you to begin to trust yourself. Or many tactics to help you undo wounds, karma, conditioning, programming. And so when I offer you a tactic, if it works, perfect, that's right for you. If it resonates for you, perfect, it's right for you. And if it doesn't, throw it away. Throw it away. Disregard it. You don't have to accept everything I share as the truth or helpful for you, or nothing at all. Those are extremes. I will share tactics and exercise and explanations, and anytime something hits you and resonates, and you feel a yeah, oh my God, or wow, perfect, I just served you. Feels funny to say that, like I'm in service to you, but that's the truth. I am in service to you. I'm trying to offer different tools and explanations and insights that can hit you. But if it doesn't hit you, if I share a tactic and you're like, what? I don't get it, or that's weird, or I don't agree, perfect. Forget about that tactic or that explanation. It's not for you. Or maybe it's not for you right now. Don't force it. Don't force yourself to try to agree with everything I say. That's not going to serve you or me. Whew. That was a long-winded explanation, but I think I covered a lot. And what comes to me now is I care about you. I care about you. I read all the comments, and I don't want my videos, my explanations to activate pain in you or rub you the wrong way or confuse you or lead to anything that's not really desirable. So I'm taking responsibility to try to clear up any confusions to help you get the most you can possibly get out of my videos. And that being said, You are responsible for your emotions. You. I'm offering a service here to you for free. If it's helpful, wonderful. If it's not, I'm sorry. But my job is to stay true to myself. My job is to share my own authenticity of what's worked within myself, what I've discovered from massive amounts of trial and error, and my own wisdom that comes from clear seeing from my head, from clear seeing from my soul, from clear seeing from my heart, and every other place that I happen to have access to. So, with that, I feel complete. Thank you for watching. I hope that it cleared some things up in you, and I will read the comments. So if you want to share something, I would appreciate you sharing if this helped you. And I also would really appreciate if you share what questions or concerns you still have. Bye.